Our message to every legal immigrant in this country is this: you're like my parents. You deserve the opportunity to secure a better life for your children in America. But our message to illegal immigrants is also this: we will return you to your country of origin, not because you're all bad people, but because you broke the law. And the United States of America was founded on the rule of law.
Megyn Kelly sat down with Vivek Ramaswamy and they had a very, very interesting conversation where Vivek Ramaswamy absolutely destroys the liberals out there, the woke people out there who are having meltdowns over his RNC speech that was aimed at bringing in new voters to that party. And I think that's great. You know, I think it's great because obviously the left, the woke side has been very, very focused on getting young voters because they absolutely infiltrate and brainwash all college students, high school students, even elementary kindergarten students nowadays. They're pushing them in that direction. And then whenever, you know, Louisiana passes a law to have the 10 Commandments in every public classroom, that's a huge meltdown. You know, that's a big deal. Having the pride flag in there, though, having stuff pushing that agenda on kids, that's totally fine. That's actually celebrated. You know, we're actually going to put the pride flag up on the White House. But whenever you have the 10 Commandments up in the classrooms, oh, that's the worst thing in the world. And I know they have the separating church and state stuff. I mean, it's the 10 Commandments, dude. It's not like any of them should be only followed by Christians or people who follow that religion. It's just basic human, you know, it's basic human decency. Those commandments, they're good for anyone to follow. You know, it's never a bad thing. Anyway, let's get into what Vivek Ramaswamy had to say to Megyn Kelly about this whole situation. It's a very interesting conversation. I'm excited for you guys to see.
Welcome back to the Megyn Kelly Show. That was former 2024 presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, who took the stage last night and killed. He did so well. Jokes aside, he also came out swinging on the topic of immigration, sharing how his personal story shaped his view and his solution to fixing the crime stemming from the border crisis in our country.
Our message to every legal immigrant in this country is this: you're like my parents. You deserve the opportunity to secure a better life for your children in America. But our message to illegal immigrants is also this: we will return you to your country of origin, not because you're all bad people, but because you broke the law. And the United States of America was founded on the rule of law.
Powerful words. But over on CNN, former Biden White House communications director Kate Bedingfield had this tone-deaf reaction.
There was a lot in there about rule of law. There was this like constant hammering of rule of law, and he talked about the border, and if you break the law, we're sending you back. Rule of law, rule of law. That is an incredibly rich message coming from a party that has spent the last year, essentially like tearing down the justice system in this country, saying it's politicized, saying, Trump should.
Nope. Nobody is trying to tear down the justice system. I think I just rewinded a little bit there, but nobody's trying to tear down the justice system on Vivek Ramaswamy's side, on Megyn Kelly's side, on Donald Trump's side. Everybody was just, honestly, like, it's very obvious to everyone watching this, but the DOJ is being weaponized against that side, against Donald Trump, against everybody who she's talking about, against Vivek Ramaswamy. It's being weaponized against them, and all Trump was doing when it comes to like the J6 stuff, when it comes to the election stuff, they were just trying to see, is there anything nefarious going on here? And, there was a lot of trials and investigations done on if there was any nefarious stuff, any foul play going on with these elections. All of them found no proof. I'm still not convinced, but hey, at least they looked into it. There's been no further weaponization of anything, of any justice system against anyone in favor of the Republicans. There has been a lot of weaponization of the DOJ against Republicans, against Vivek Ramaswamy, against Donald Trump, against these people. So I don't know what the hell she's talking about, but hey, it's CNN, so it doesn't really matter, right?
Coming from a party that has spent the last year, essentially like tearing down the justice system in this country, saying it's politicized, saying Trump should be above the law, has really been their argument. So I think there is a fundamental
plus the insurrection.
Plus the insurrection. So I actually think there's a fundamental tension there in that argument. That's not particularly well delivered from Vivek there, but also I think is going to be a problem for Republicans if that's where they're hanging their hat.
Scott.
You think? Joining me now, Vivek Ramaswamy, former 2024 presidential candidate and host of the Truth podcast. Vivek, welcome back.
Good to be here.
So the Republicans, like you're not allowed to raise law and order anymore because you objected to what was done to President Trump with the lawfare.
Yeah, well, the reality is that, too, is a violation of law and order, Megyn. And one of the things I also said in this speech was addressing black Americans, where I think this issue actually does land, is that for a long time, Republicans were maybe a little tone deaf to black Americans who have said for a long time the justice system was unfair. Well, the reality is we don't want a justice system that's unfair, either on the basis of your skin color or your political beliefs. So I think this culture of the abandonment of the rule of law actually runs deep. The same reason we have the southern border crisis is in many ways linked to the reason why we have an abandonment of the rule of law, when the people at the top of the chain themselves view the law as an inconvenience. People at the DOJ, people at even investigative agencies like the FBI, local prosecutors like those who have abused the law to not only pursue lawfare against President Trump, but even countless other politically unsympathetic defendants. That is part of a cultural breakdown. And so, you know what? I disagree with her characterization that it's either or. They go together.
So
and I think that's what we need to restore.
And this is all a result of the woke mind virus. Everything that Vivek Ramaswamy and Megyn Kelly are talking about here, it's a result of the woke mind virus. What I mean by that is, there's obviously the rule of law that we followed, the rule of law that this country was founded on. But now we have this woke mind virus of everyone should be accepted. Everything should be accepted. Nobody should be criticized for anything that they do, any choices that they make, whether that's going from being gay to being attracted to children. Nobody should be criticized for any of those things, right? That's what they're saying. So now we have these people who are criminals, and it's like, yeah, they're stealing stuff, but hey, they're people. We should feel compassion for them. Let's raise it up to, in California, you have to steal over $999 in order to actually get arrested. Now you can steal up to $1,000 and just walk away for free. Let's change it to, these people who were before getting arrested and deported for coming into the country illegally. Oh, but they're people. We should feel compassion for them. Let's just have them stick around. And plus, they get to vote for our side if they stay long enough. So, we get some more voters out of it. Talking about the Democrats. This woke mind virus has infected us to the point where we're so accepting of everything and everyone that we're not even enforcing the law anymore. And people like Vivek Ramaswamy and Donald Trump and Megyn Kelly are just saying we should start enforcing the law, and not unfairly. We should maybe adjust some things here and there that have been unfair to certain groups of people. Sure, I agree. It should be completely fair, but we should be enforcing the law. Whatever we decide the law is, it should be enforced unequivocally, and it hasn't been enforced, especially with the border and the things that I was just talking about. It hasn't been enforced at all.
Sure.
I watch all the channels because I love seeing reactions to all this stuff. Van Jones was saying, I don't think black people want to be patronized like Vivek did. So any outreach by a Republican to black voters saying, you know what, because you had a great part in your speech about that, that's patronizing. That you're not allowed to do. It's better just to remain silent and not seek their vote, you see.
Yeah, and so I think that AOC was reacting to my speech last night as well. She was rather frenetic about it. I think part of what's going on is the thing they're upset about is not actually Republican policies, because I think there's not a lot to be upset about. They're upset we're picking off their voters. Mm-hmm. That's actually what's going on. Don't fish in our pond. There's a little bit of territorialism. We own these people. And I don't mean that in a loaded sense. I mean it in an accurate sense. They view this as our pond. The Democrats view it. Don't come over and invade our pond. What actually, the way we look at it is every American ought to be persuaded based on the merits of what you're offering them. And a lot of black voters, a lot of Hispanic voters, a lot of gay voters are actually saying, you know what, the Republican Party isn't the one that it was portrayed to be, and in some sense isn't the one that it was 20 years.
And once Donald Trump is gone, they're not going to have this boogeyman anymore. Like once I think Vivek Ramaswamy is going to be like the next up. I think he's kind of like the prince right now, whereas Donald Trump's the king. And then once Trump is done with his next term, if he wins or loses or whatever, Vivek Ramaswamy is up next. And they're not going to have that boogeyman anymore. They're not going to be able to say, yeah, our candidate sucks, he's senile, or our candidate's Kamala Harris, the most unlikable human on the planet. but it's not Donald Trump, therefore you must vote for us because the other guy is racist and sexist and all these things. Vivek Ramaswamy is not going to have that against him. You know, the guy is married. He's been married for a while. He's also not white, so he can't be racist. That's what they say, right? If you're not white, you can't be racist. So they can't have all those things. They're not going to have their boogeyman anymore. And what Vivek Ramaswamy is saying is completely correct in that they don't have any real policies. Nobody votes Democrat because of the policies. They vote Democrat because it's not a Republican. And once that changes, people are starting to wake up to that, right? Like they always say, oh, you ain't, you know, Joe Biden said, you ain't black if you don't vote for me. That stuff is changing. People are starting to wake up. They're starting to outgrow those talking points by the Democrats. And black people are starting to say, hold on, I don't have to vote for this side just because I'm black. Gay people are starting to say, hold on, I don't have to vote for this side because I'm gay. They see people like Vivek Ramaswamy and they're like, I would vote for that guy because he cares about all Americans. He doesn't just care about white people or anything. He just cares about Americans. He wants to make America the best place possible, you know? And I think once Donald Trump is gone, that boogeyman is gone, the Democrats are going to be in trouble unless there's some nefarious stuff going on with these elections, unless there's some foul play. I think Republicans are going to have a pretty good run once Trump is gone. You know, and a lot of people are scared about what happens whenever he's gone. I think they'll be just fine without him.
Years ago.
So look, don't worry, because CNN did have on a Republican to defend you. It was Jonah Goldberg of the Dispatch.
Oh, really? I missed that.
It was terrible.
Okay.
It was so mean. I was like, he clearly doesn't like you. I won't bore you with what he said, but I was
Never
like,
met him, but-
that's the defense. Like, you know, this is the new CNN with the fair and balanced, you know, commentary in response to one of the stars at the convention.
Yeah.
Somebody who hates him and somebody who hates him more.
You know, I think part of me last year, every time this would happen, would take this as the short-term thing as a reactionary impulse as a badge of honor. And it sort of is. But it's also kind of sad in the country where I would love the country that I knew, where we could debate vigorously, like not in some sort of lighthearted kid gloves kind of way, but debate like hell, really disagree on the issues, but to still be friends at the end of it, or if not friends, at least have some level of mutual respect to say that we actually care about the country, but we have deeply differing visions. And I think much of what the modern left, particularly in the media, has become is to use the issue of labeling, whether Trump was, you could say, insurrectionist to dictator to rapist. Now Trump itself is become too popular that they're replacing it with fill in the blank, Project 2025, whatever you want to call it.
That's right.
They have to have some label that affixes an emotional response to that label, rather than actually engaging in just an underlying debate on the merits, which is too bad for the country.
Yeah.
Because I think the Republican Party would be better off if we were challenged by the best version of the other side, but we're not getting that today.
It's so true.
It's too bad.
It was, and again, it's not important, but it was a personal attack. You know?
There is no debate going on because the left refuses to debate. And I know that not just on a political level. You know, we saw what happened with Joe Biden. He debated Trump. It was absolutely awful for him to the point where he dropped out of the race. We don't even know if he's alive right now. He won't even come and make an appearance if he is alive. But also, like, when it comes to his YouTube channel, I've tried to debate tons of leftists on live streams and stuff before, and they never will do it. They will never debate you. The only thing that they have is saying, you must vote for us because we're not Trump, because we're not Republican, we're not racist, sexist, whatever. That's the only thing that they have. They don't have any facts or logic or evidence on their side ever. They will not debate because of those reasons, because they can't just say, oh, you know, they can't use the talking points of, oh, you're not Trump, so therefore you have to vote for us because we're not Trump. They have to actually come with facts and logic, and they don't have that on their side, so they will not debate. It's very clear what side is stronger, in my opinion, but somehow Biden still won. So I'm not going to say this next election is a shoo-in or anything, because who knows what's going to happen.
And it was his feelings about you and your ambition or whatever it was, but it was not on the merits. It did not take on the substance.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, there's a reason.
It's just too
for
bad.
that.
I just don't think the country's better off for that.
The AOC tweet, which you refer to, reads as follows: young people don't take well to bigoted leaders who attack LGBTQ rights, outlaw abortion, cozy up to gun manufacturers and oil execs, and support a rapist for a president. If you want to be cool so badly, try giving a damn about other people beyond yourself. Might open a few doors. So the problem here is the young people are taking well to
Yes.
Republicans. These are not things that Republicans stand for.
Yeah.
But they are. So she's just pronouncing this is what they want, and yet the polls are showing us something different this election.
Absolutely. And that, I think, is just the beginning of a tidal wave that's coming. So she was responding to a section of my speech where I directly addressed Gen Z. And again, it's fishing in their pond that they're offended by.
How to be revolutionary.
Absolutely. And I think the revolutionary thing right now is to say something maybe different than what you're expected to say on your college campus. Call yourself a conservative is what I said. And I do think that that's the more rebellious move today.
Totally.
But nonetheless, one of the interesting things about the tack she took is she at least was a little bit more elegant than some of the CNN people, trying to wrap it around a policy disagreement. Let's just double click on that for a second. She talks about gay rights. This is the Republican platform right now, is the Republican platform as it exists today at this convention is not opposed to gay marriage.
No.
She points to abortion, women and their bodies. Literally, this has said it is not a federal issue. Donald Trump, to myself when I ran for president, to now the Republican Party, opposes a federal ban on abortion. So part of their
And he says that over and over and over again. The only thing Donald Trump wants to do in regards to abortion is leave it up to the states. He said it over and over again, but it doesn't matter. They're still going to use the fear tactic of, oh, Donald Trump, big bad Donald Trump wants to control women's bodies. It's like, it's all nonsense. He just wants to leave it up to the states. That's it. He's not going to push it any further. He said it multiple times. He's not going to push it any further than it already is. He just wants to maintain what it is right now. Let me know in the comments what you think about Vivek Ramaswamy going on the Megyn Kelly show and absolutely destroying these woke CNN hosts and these woke liberals having meltdowns about what Vivek Ramaswamy had to say at his RNC speech. Let me know in the comments what you think about this whole Vivek Ramaswamy and Megyn Kelly situation.